Hello everyone, it's Justine. Today I'm going to be glimmering, doing a little bit of stencil work, and showing you 3 cards with the Glimmer plate of the month for April. And this one is called Glimmer Leaf Panel. So it is a beautiful glimmer plate. It is half of this, and then you do the same side on both sides. And then you have the option to add on a stencil, and this is called the Leaf Panel Stencil. If you're looking for it on the Spellbinders website, I will have a link for the stencil in the description of this video, as well as the Glimmer plate itself. So this is part of the Glimmer clubs, so you know that I love glimmering. If you've been subscribed to my channel ever since I had Yana's Anemone Blooms, that one really just kind of blossomed all of my glimmering love. Even though I had a glimmer machine before and did glimmer cards, it just really wasn't my thing, but now I love it. Anyway, for this card, I used the rose gold foil from Spellbinders. Isn't it so pretty? Look at that. And I'm going to use some Distress ink and use the stencil to make my piece. So I'm going to use some craft tape here to hold down my paper. And yes, I'm using a white paper in the back. The other side has a whole bunch of stamped things on it, so it really is a scrap, even though it looks perfect on this side. But anyhow, we'll just have to get over that. But typically when I am using a stencil and Distress Oxide or Distress ink, I'm going to pull out my clear glass mat from Tim Holtz or from Distress ink, but with all of the lights that I use for filming, it's very reflective, so I'm going to use this. By the way, if you're looking for getting a work surface for crafting, this really isn't it for card making. I'll just be frank, it's not made for craft making or for card making. It's made for quilting and cutting on, but it does protect my desk pretty well, but it definitely gets stained up and whatever. But I'm not going to add to that with some ink, so I have some paper down. And I'm going to just adhere my stencil to this top piece by just lining it up and adding some craft tape to hold it down. Now my fingers are going to get inky, and that's just fine. So you can see the stencil is a 2-piece stencil. First, it's going to do the whole leaf on the top. Don't pay attention to the bottom at this moment. We're going to have to deal with that in a second. But we're just focusing on the top, and that's going to do the whole leaf. Then I'm going to flip it around and do the half leaf. If you can see here, it doesn't line up on the bottom because it's not meant to. I'm going to have to turn my stencil around. So it's going to look something like these two. I haven't finished these cards. I will at the end, but I'm just going to address the stencil first, and then I'll show you these two at the end after I make this card. So I couldn't resist. I was making glimmer plates here just to kind of get inspiration, and I just love the way that the purple looked. And I was actually doing this one as a just kind of test, how does the stencil work kind of thing, and I love the way it turned out, so I'm going to turn it into a card even though it doesn't even have the glimmer on it. If you're a stencil person, you can go ahead and just pick up the stencil and create a really awesome background as well. So now that I'm done with my chitter chatter, I'm going to grab some blending brushes. Now I have these. I like them, but I haven't used all of them yet. And I just used oxide, Distress Oxide on my pink one, and I just put my finger across it. I used it yesterday. It's still wet. So I'm going to use my little ones. That'll work. So these little ones are brand new. I got these, I think, on Amazon or something. I don't know. But Spellbinders does have these brushes. They are white. Personally, I like when they have the colored handle, but that's just me. I do have three brushes from Spellbinders, and I do think they work really well. So if you're interested in sticking with the Spellbinders brand, I totally get it. I would recommend those as well. But here we go. We're going to pick up this Victorian Violet color first. I have these teeny ones because when I first started card making, I wasn't sure if I wanted to invest in the large ink pads, and I'm glad I didn't, because the little ones work really well for what I use ink for. And what I use ink for is blending. Oh, hang on. Before I get talking too much, I want the background to be light pink. Anyway, I use the inks for blending, and I don't need a huge ink pad. Maybe you like the huge ink pads. It's just not my thing right now. I like using the large ink pads for the oxides from Distress, and that's just what I want to spend my money on, so that's what I did. So I'm just going to go in circular motions and just kind of go around. And now this ink does not affect the glimmer, which is awesome. I was kind of nervous about that the first time I inked and did ink work over glimmer. I was worried, is it going to make my glimmer less shiny? Is it going to take off the glimmer? Heaven forbid. No, it does not. That glimmer is on. And I want this card to be kind of a little bit of a girly card, so that's why my leaves are pink. Of course, leaves in real life are not pink, but I don't know. You can make purple and pink leaves if you're making your card, especially when you're having fun. So there's just a quick blend. I'm not going to make it all the same color. I kind of like that it looks a little hazy. So next I'm going to take my stencil and turn it around. You can see that's wonderful. Isn't that so pretty? I love it. And I'm just going to bring it down to right about here and line it up on the bottom. And this will be my light pink layer as well. Right about there. Oh, I forgot to tell you the color. Spun Sugar. Using Spun Sugar. I hope everyone's doing really well. The clubs for April are just gorgeous, so if you haven't checked those out, I will have a link in the description just to the main page that has all of the clubs, and you can see them there. They're just so pretty. My favorite, I think, this month has to be the stitching or this glimmer plate. I think they're so unique. I find it so interesting how they're able to come up with unique ideas for each month. How wonderful for us. Okay. Now that that's all inked up with the Spun Sugar, I will just set that off to the side, and I am going to just lightly brush off this stencil, even though it doesn't look like there's that much ink on there, but I'm just going to wipe it off with a little towel that I have here. We're going to have inky fingers if we're going to be ink blending, you know, it's just kind of the way it goes. Okay, now I'm going to place my stencil on the top again, and this will be half of each leaf, right about there. Now, if you're not a stencil person and you still love this glimmer plate, you can totally just get this glimmer plate and use Copic markers, colored pencils, paint, anything you want to add color to the leaves. You do not have to use the stencil. But since I have it, I'm going to just show you what it looks like. Now I'm going to go in with Victorian Violet and put this on half of the leaves. This is going to be rather dark. You can see that's what it's going to look like. So here we go. No going back now. We got the color down. Anyway, let me know in the comments, are you an ink person? Are you an ink blender? I am curious. Would you use a stencil on a die like, or a glimmer plate like this, or would you use your Copic markers or maybe colored pencils? I want to know, if you were to pick this up, what would you use? And look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, now I'm going to just move it down and do the same thing on the bottom. Anyway, I am curious to know, because I know that stencils are kind of underappreciated, I think, in the card world. They are not something that I am extremely familiar with, but I love ink blending with especially the Distress Oxides. I think they make so many pretty backgrounds, and if you're interested in seeing a really pretty background on my channel later this month, I'm going to be having like an Under the Sea card with the seahorse glimmer plate that will be released on April 10th. And you can see the really pretty background, if I do say so myself, that I made for that card. And I did like a test card, so I kind of know how it's going to turn out, but oh my goodness, it's so pretty. Anyway, here is what it looks like. Hooray! I'm going to just set this off to the side so it doesn't get ink everywhere. Now, the ink is wet, it's ink, so I'm going to just set this off to the side and let it dry as I work on the other cards. So I did just write notes to myself so I can tell you what ink color I used, and I used all Distress inks. So this purple one, I used Wilted Violet and Shaded Lilac. And on this one, I used Lucky Clover and Rustic Wilderness. I absolutely love names for like paint. We're looking at paint samples for our remodel right now, and I think it's hilarious. Nail colors are super funny, and I think it's super funny when they have silly names. I just had a pink nail polish last time, and the pink was called Stay Toxic. It's like, what? That is so weird. But I think my favorite nail polish color was, I think it was called Smoky Mountain Purple. I think it was like a light lavender, kind of similar to this, but I don't know. If you got a problem with my nails, I'm sorry. I love kind of funky stuff. I didn't really get into doing my nails until I started doing YouTube videos, and I was like, oh man, my nails are looking a little dusty, crusty. I got to do something with it. And now I love having my nails done. I love it. It's one of those things that I really enjoy, and I think it's just another way to be artsy fartsy, crafty pafty. Anywho, these cards are really simple. It has a glimmered sentiment. This one has a glimmered background, but they're both really stunning with that inked background. And I don't even think I'm going to add bling to these. I know, shocking. But I think that it just kind of is pretty how it is. I like the naturalness of this one, and it doesn't have like too much bling going on, but I like it. Anyway, now that this one has had just a second to dry, maybe like a minute, but let's just assemble it. It's time. We can't be here all day. Or we can, but we just want to do other things in the craft room. I'm really looking forward to Easter break. I am a teacher, if you didn't know that, and Easter break we have a week off, and oh man, I'm going to be crafting a whole bunch. And throughout the month of April, I'm going to have more videos than last month on my channel, just because I am getting some wonderful things from Spellbinders that are being released in April, and I couldn't stop making things with them, especially the horse collection and the hummingbirds from BB. It is just gorgeous, you guys. I cannot wait to show you those. I cannot wait to make cards with them. I have things kind of planned out and die cut out, but I have not put anything together yet, and I am just like itching to put things together because they are so pretty. Anyway, there's my background on here. Now I pulled out this piece and now I can't remember. I don't want to cover up any of that pretty glimmer. Certainly I was not planning on that. I think I was planning on having the sentiment go on. So I'll glue on this sentiment onto the pink and then show you a little tip, I guess, with my paper trimmer for cutting very skinny sentiments. So I'll just put on liquid glue so I have a second to wiggle if I need to. Try to line up the bottom and the side to be equal-ish. Give it a press. And then my favorite trimmer for sentiment cutting has to be the one from Tim Holtz and Tonic Studios. Not sponsored or anything, but I mean, I wish. That would be fun. I use this mini trimmer all the time for sentiment cutting because it is so little and I have a lot more control with this cutter, in my opinion. I like to line up the sentiment so it's hanging off the edge here, and then I look where the cutting blade is going to meet and just have that be hopefully the same amount of space here that it is on this side. And once I am satisfied with the placement, I just hold this part and give it a chop. Now maybe it's straight, maybe it's not. Let's give it a look. Nope, it needs a little bit of work. The have an area is just a little bit higher than the other side, so I am just going to sneak it through right about here and just press the area up. Give it a curly trim because the paper curls. Just another weird word that I say. And then check it again. And ta-da, that's great. My almost getting better voice. Ta-da! It's just so beautiful. Anyway. Now for this part, I like to use scissors, and now that I have lovely little scissors from Spellbinders, I will just snip off the edge. I'm just going to eyeball it with the other side, and hopefully it's even. Sure, that works for me. Now to put it on, I think I will pop up this sentiment because why not? And again, I'll pull out my scissors. I have a feeling that these are going to be my new favorite scissors. I definitely love my Fiskars spring-loaded scissors, don't get me wrong, especially for fussy cutting. I'm sure that's probably the scissors I will go to forever for fussy cutting, but with cutting foam like this, they have the anti-stick on these scissors, and no one wants to sit here with sticky scissors. Ew. So let's use these scissors. Looks like I will have a good amount here. Maybe I'll slide that down or not. Okay, we're gonna go with that. All right, I'll take off the release tape, grab my tweezers, and pop it on. Ooh, it looks like a little ink moved around. That's too bad, but I'm not gonna cry about it. Just cover it up. Shh, don't tell anyone. All right, anyway, here is a look at all three of my cards. I would love to know what's your favorite. As usual, I love knowing favorites. So leave me a comment. Which one is your favorite? Is it the purple periwinkle that matches my nails? Is it the soft light pink one, or is it the greens? Let me know in the comments below what is your favorite. Also, let me know in the comments if you are going to pick up this Glimmer plate, what color foil are you using, and if you're going to get the stencil with it, what ink are you going to use on the stencil? I would love to know. I'm always learning new ideas. I think that is a lovely trait that people should have, is to always be learning and being open for new ideas. One thing that I did not mention that I love about this Glimmer plate is the pun. I don't know how I overlooked it until this very moment, but have an unbelievable day is hilarious. I love puns. I love dad jokes. I eat it up. It's so funny to me. So I just love it. Anyway, maybe this one will go to my dad one day. I don't know. Is it too feminine? I don't know. He's kind of a guy, but I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you get to craft soon. If you're a Glimmer person, I hope you get to glimmer soon and just enjoy that process. I love glimmering. Anyway, enough chitter chatter. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you later.